so? This one's always been hard for me to explain without sounding like I'm making it up, but I swear, every word is real. This happened a couple years ago when I was doing part-time work as a real estate assistant with my cousin. He handled most of the paperwork and client meetings, and I was mostly bringing in leads from Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. One day, we landed this client, a family of 7. They were looking for a rental in a peaceful neighborhood, and we had just the place. It was a quiet, friendly area, the kind where people say hello when you pass by, you know. We'd already helped a few other families move into that block, so the locals knew us. Anyway, a few weeks after the family moved in, I was walking past that neighborhood. I lived just a few blocks away, and this older guy from the area, Mr. Dalton, stopped me. He was probably in his 70s, always polite, super friendly. He waved me down like, "Hey Ryan, how have you been?" I smiled, said hey back. Then he asked me something kind of odd. He goes, "Who are those people you rented the old Simmons house to?" I said, "Oh, the big family. Why, is there a problem?" And he kind of hesitated, then said, "I don't know. They just don't come out. Not once. Curtains are always closed. We've never seen them outside, not even for groceries. They don't speak to anyone. It's like the house swallowed them up." I remember telling him something like, "Well, maybe they just keep to themselves. Some folks are private. Doesn't mean something's wrong." He nodded, but I could tell it was bothering him. About a year passed. We were helping another family move into the same neighborhood when another guy, neighbor from a few houses down, stopped us and asked, "You too rented that corner house out last year, right?" My cousin said yeah, and the guy got this serious look on his face. "You should have done a background check," he said. "Those people, they're not right." We kind of froze. My cousin asked him what he meant, and he goes, "They don't celebrate anything. Not Christmas, not Halloween, nothing. No visitors, no deliveries, no lights. But every single night, right at 3 a.m., we hear things, like movement inside. And these sounds, like a goat bleating, but wrong. And there's chanting. We've even seen shadows in the windows, but no one comes out." I looked at my cousin. He looked just as creeped out as I felt. We talked to the landlord and asked if he could go check on the place. He was hesitant, said the rent always came in on time, and there'd never been a complaint. But while we were having that conversation outside the house, another neighbor overheard us, a guy named Tim. Tim cut in and said, "If none of you go inside that house, I'm calling the cops." That finally convinced the owner. He agreed to make a visit, but asked us to come with him. A few days later, we met outside the house. It looked normal from the outside, maybe a little too normal. No lights, no movement, not a sound. The owner knocked on the door, and eventually a man opened it. They spoke quietly at the door for about 15 minutes. Then the owner came back to where we were waiting, kind of off to the side so they wouldn't know we were watching. He told us everything looked fine. The man was polite, calm, even friendly. But when the owner asked if he could take a look upstairs, the man refused, said something about renovations going on and it wouldn't be safe. That raised every red flag in my mind, and the owner admitted something else. He said there was a smell, like something rotting, but faint. Hard to describe, but definitely off. Tim, the guy who threatened to call the cops, was there too, along with Mr. Dalton, and they both weren't buying it. My cousin tried to calm them down, said maybe it was nothing serious. But Tim just looked at us and said, "I'll get you proof." A few nights later, he sent us a voice note he'd recorded. I swear to God, I still have that audio. It was this low, rumbling chant, repetitive, in a language I couldn't place, and underneath it, the sound of something bleating, like a goat, but guttural, choked, wrong. Tim had already called the cops. They came, knocked on the door, no answer, tried again, nothing. Eventually, they broke the door down. The ground floor, completely normal, furniture, dishes, groceries, like a regular home. But then the smell hit us. That same rotting stench the owner had mentioned. It was thick, sour, like something long dead and hidden. When we moved upstairs, every wall was covered in black markings, symbols none of us recognized. The bedrooms were lit with red bulbs, and heavy curtains blacked out all light. Every mirror had been removed. In one room, there were candles and what looked like burnt offerings. And the bathrooms, there were goats, 2 of them, dead, one with its head removed, blood everywhere, like some kind of ritual had taken place, maybe more than once. But here's the thing, no one was there. The entire family, all 7 of them, were just gone. No IDs, no clothes, no photos, no personal stuff. Not a trace of them. Police tried to track them down. Nothing. No paper trail, no digital history, no records. It was like they were never real. But we all saw them move in. We all heard what came from that house at night. We don't talk about it anymore. That house is still empty. And no one wants to be the next tenant. Hi, and thanks for letting my story be heard on your channel. I've never really shared this with anyone. What happened that night still messes with my head sometimes, and honestly, I don't think I'll ever step foot in that building again. So, this happened last year. My friend Ethan had recently bought an apartment, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. The building itself was brand new. He was actually the only one living on that floor at the time. The other apartments were still empty. Ethan's job is kind of demanding. He works in international sales or something like that. So he's constantly flying to other cities or even different countries. Since he travels so much, he gave me a spare key to his place, told me to use it anytime I needed or just to keep an eye on things while he was gone. One weekend, Ethan was out of town again. So me and a couple of my friends, Josh and Tyler, decided to hang out at his place. The idea was just to chill, watch some movies, maybe tell a few horror stories. You know, just a low-key guys' night. We got to the building, and everything looked totally normal from the outside. It was actually the first time I'd been to Ethan's new place, even though he'd been living there for a while. I remember thinking how clean and modern it looked, but also how weird it felt being the only ones on that whole floor. Anyway, once we got inside, we were setting up for the night. One of my friends asked if I could go grab some drinks and snacks from the store nearby, so we'd have something to eat while watching the movie. I said sure and headed out. It didn't take me long, maybe 10 minutes round trip. When I got back and walked through the door, I noticed the bathroom light was on. Now, here's the thing. The apartment is really spacious, and right near the entrance, there's a guest bathroom. That's the one with the light on. So I walked into the living room and casually asked, "Hey, who's in the bathroom?" Josh looked at me and said, "Oh, that's my buddy Ryan. I invited him over too." thought you wouldn't mind. I didn't. I just said, okay, and sat down. We started watching the movie. Everything felt totally normal. But about 40 minutes in, I looked at Josh and asked, "Hey, your friend's been in the bathroom for a while now. Is he okay?" Josh frowned. "Yeah, that's weird. He should have come back by now." We waited another 10 minutes or so. Then Tyler suggested we check if he was all right. Maybe he got sick or something. We got up and walked out of the room into the hallway that led toward the bathroom. But before we could knock or say anything, we heard the front balcony door open. And that's when Ryan, Josh's friend, walked in from the gallery outside. Josh blinked and said, "Dude, where were you? We thought you were in the bathroom." Ryan looked confused. "Nah, I've been on a call with my girlfriend this whole time. I was out on the balcony." And then we all heard it, clear as day. The sound of water turning off. And a second later, the bathroom light turned off too. Josh slowly turned to Ryan and said, "If you're here, then who's in the bathroom?" There was this moment. I can't really explain it. Just pure silence. All of us staring at each other. No one moved. And then we panicked. We didn't even think twice. We bolted. Left everything. The TV was still on. The apartment door wide open. I even left my phone behind. Tyler left his too. None of us looked back. We ran down those stairs and out of the building like our lives depended on it. We just stood outside on the sidewalk, out of breath, staring up at the windows. No one wanted to go back inside. When Ethan got back from his trip 2 days later, we didn't tell him the full story. We just asked him if he could grab our stuff from the apartment. He agreed, but wasn't exactly happy about it. He was like, "Seriously, you guys left the door open, lights on, TV running. What if someone had broken in?" We just kind of laughed it off and said sorry. I think deep down, none of us wanted to explain what really happened. Ethan brought our phones and jackets back the next day, and honestly, that was the last time I ever set foot in that apartment. I still don't know who or what was in the bathroom that night. The place was completely empty, no neighbors. No one had access to the apartment but Ethan and me. But I know what I heard. And whatever was in there, it waited until we were all together to make its presence known.